Then based on an aleph, we're up to the Mishnah at the top of the page. Hamafkin moy says to chaveroi. You go ahead, you mafkin moy to your friend. Tzraron v'ivshilon lachayrav. We had this. He was ahead. He binds it up, and you gave it to him to watch. And it's speaking where watch. You gave it to him b'derech lishmar, even in his house. And shmira lamois ela bekarka. In other words, as we're going to see, shmira is only bekarka, but you gave it to him tzraron v'ivshilon lachayrav. And or you gave it to what, his son or his small children. We had machlokes between Rashi and Tosfos earlier. Now, is this two separate cases? According to Rashi, it's one case. You gave it to the kids, and then you did not close, and then you closed in front of them shloi karoi. So that's one case. Or the way Tosfos learns is two separate cases. Chayiv, you be chayiv. Why? You didn't watch the way people normally watch. We're going to see, guys, there's a concept of normal watching. There's a concept of oil b'da'adni inshi. You watch the way shomer k'derech hashomer, but you go up and like we saw yesterday with the zayd that you went up in the time you heard a music and you went to join and you went in the time where people were able to go up. There's certain shema we have it in Hakoinus also, the concept about going up, watching what people are expected to watch. People expected to watch. In these cases, you didn't watch Kederach Hashaimim, and therefore you'll be chayiv. Im shoym Kederach Hashaimim, then potter. Okay, the chiddush is what is? We'll see. Bishleim Akuloi, Shleishim Kederach Hashaimim, Bishleim, all of them, you didn't watch correctly, you didn't close the door properly, you gave it to a kid, right? We understand why you're chayiv. When you tied up the money and you put it on your back, what else could you have done? You tied it up. In other words, what else could you have done? So Rabbi Yitzchak, the pasuk says, "V'tzarta kesef biyadcha." Right? We said by my Sheni, "V'tzarta kesef biyadcha." Tzarta means literally. We learned out of halacha, guys, that you can't be put on an asimoin. It has to be with surah. That's what the other Gemara say. But tzarta kesef biyadcha means like it should be in your hand. It should be in your hand. So right, afa pishet srurin, and the play on words, guys, v'tzarta, the play on words, afa pishet srurin, yiyabiyadecha. Even though it's srurin. If shila lachayra, putting it on your back is not a good shmira. It has to be what mitzarta biyadcha. It should be what in your hand. From Rabbi Yitzchak, a little digression. La'olam yehikas b'shaladam matzah biyadai. Shenemar mitzarta kesa biyadcha. And that you should know. We had, guys, the concept of Metzia, right? Adam mishamish b'kisa b'chol shah. That's how you know what yesh lemidas. A person's going to know he lost his money, right? Because he's always checking his money. Always checking his money. Some people always check their stocks, but some people, by and large, they check their wallet. You always, I don't know about you. I know exactly where my wallet is all the time. I'm always banging it on the side over there. You know where it is. So therefore, if it's sartek has to be up, you should keep it under there. Rabbi Yitzchak, loylam yash, a little business advice. Yash adam es moisav, a person should go ahead and divide his money into thirds, right? Shlish b'karka, to invest the third in real estate. Ushlish b'pragmatia, and invest the third in movable goods. Again, that's what they were peddling in those days. Ushlish tachas yadai, and you should have liquid. You should have a third available. That is the business advice according to the Gemara. Remember Yitzchak, eina bracha mitsuya ela bedava hasamay mina ayin. Right, a bracha is mitsuya only in something that is hidden from the eye. Shnemar, Yitzav Hashem itcha es bracha b'asamecha. Hashem will go ahead and He'll command this bracha b'asamecha. B'asamecha be losing the lashon of sami, something that is what is hidden from the eye. Tana devei v'shmal eina bracha mitsuya ela bedava shein ayin sholetis. But that's something that the eye won't be sholet above. This locher is ayin harash. Shnemar, Yitzav Hashem itcha es bracha b'asamecha. Okay. Let's go a little bit ahead, and then we'll go back and discuss this, okay? We'll go back. It's very interesting, this Torah Chaim here, and there's I sent out a Rebbeinu B'chai, which is very geschmack. Tanrabana. Ha'hoilech lomoid es garno. You're going to go ahead, and measure your gairin. You worked, you put it in your silo, and now you're going to measure it. You go ahead and you say a tefillah. Yiratzam u'fenecha Hashem Elokeinu, shetishlach bracha b'maseh yadeinu. Again, you did your work already. You put it in, and you make a bracha that Hashem, the bracha should be found in Ma'aseh Yadeinu. Hischalamud, but if you began, that's before you measured. Hischalamud, you began measuring. Oime Baruch Shashaleach Bracha B'Kriya Zeh. You make one that seems to be a tefillah, and the other one is a haidah, right? But bless the one who goes ahead and places bracha in this pile. Modad v'akach birich. If you went ahead, what, and you measured already, and then you make a bracha, how is that tefillah shav? If you sheina bracha mitzuya loy b'dava shakel, not something that can be weighed. Loy b'dava hamadud, not something that can be measured. Loy b'dava hamanu is something we count. El b'dava something min ayin. Shnemar yitzav Hashem yitchoes bracha basamecha. Okay, so very there's a sefer called Teres Chaim which I bring in often, right? It's Teres Chaim on Chedushi Teres Chaim. He says this is not mitoris ayin hara. In other words, you might be prone to say bracha is only found something that's samay mina ayin. What does samay mean? Hidden from the eye. So the inverse would be it's something that is open to the eye, and therefore the bracha wouldn't be found there because why? It'd be chesaron of ayin hara. That a person, if they could see something, who knows what a person is going to go ahead and think. And we spoke often the difference between is it a physical thing or is it a spiritual thing? And shemayim they can make a cheshbin, or is it a physical thing? He's going to place something in you. We spoke that many times. Teres Chaim says no. He says simply, and we're going to elaborate upon it in a second. He says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world through Nisan, but what Hashem does, He hides Himself in something called Teva. So if it's Dava Samim and Ayin, HaKadosh Baruch Hu can go ahead and do what He always does because we don't see it. Conversely, if it's open, you can be Samich and Nes Nigla. That's not so good. So let's see. I sent out a Rabbeinu B'chai. I sent out a Rabbeinu B'chai today. You have it? Let me just put it on the screen here. It's in Kisisa. It's Rabbeinu B'chai in Kisisa. And Rabbeinu B'chai, when he begins his pirish, he'll bring in a pasuk from Nevi'im or Ksuvim or Mishlei, and he'll use it as an introduction. So he said, this is in Kisisa, which opens up, of course, with counting Klal Yisrael, al yedei coins, and not through what? And not through not through heads. So Yiras Hashem Toisif Yamim, Ushnois Rishayim Tikatzrena. Those who fear Hashem will have long lives, and those who go ahead, the Rishayim will have short lives. So l'chayra, you do find people that tzaddikim who die young, and Rishayim who live a very long time. I was amazed that these Nazis that are still alive, right? These 98-year-old Nazis. Anyway, you don't have this yet. I didn't want to make 2 pages. This pasuk that guarantees a tzaddik long life and a rasha short life is not etched in stone. Shat tzaddik yarichu yamav, v'arasha yikatzron yamav. That he'll have long life and he'll have short life. Anu royim rishayim, marichin chayim. We find rishayim that have long lives, but tzaddikim mesim mekaitzu yamav, short lives. Aval hakosav hazeh mevara pa'oles Hashem yisbarach v'reitzayner leitim shu mayrich imei tzaddik k'mo sheherich lechizkiyahu. Then Einoi Mayrich Yomim L'chol Tzaddik, and let's say it doesn't happen. You may call it Russia if it doesn't end the life of a Russia quickly. One might be say Sheinoi Tzaddik Gomer Veina Russia Gomer. In other words, you might think this is etched in stone, and therefore you might mistakenly think, well, if the person died young, they must be out of Russia, and if he lived a long time, he must be a tzaddik. Okay, anyway, now go bring kach b'kach, 4 lines down. You should have it, right? Young man, here's over here. Bring kach b'kach. The Indian Isaiah who you say that Torah, I'm missing something over there. I'm missing something in this pirish. What? Royim b'zeh, yeah, that's where it starts on Royim b'zeh? Okay. Royim b'zeh elu min hagashalaylam b'tiva. This is what the way the world works. The Indian Isaiah who you say that Torah kula. She'ein la'adam chelik b'Toras Moshe Rabbeinu olav shalom. You don't have a chelik in Moshe at sheyamin until you believe she'kol dvarenu. All everything that occurs to us, kulam nisim nistarim, all abigeda nisim nistarim, ein lahem teva. There's nothing such as it's nothing as nature. Umin haga shaloylam lo yilchidim v'lo rabim Al basoisai hamitzvah yaslichenu scharoi ubasoisai averi yachisenu anshoy. If you keep the Torah, you're going to be rewarded. If not, not. That's the promise of the Torah. B'birchas v'klalos. She'en lechol kol yachid v'yachid b'Yisrael. There's no yachid in Klal Yisrael. Shlo ye'iru lei b'chol yom nisim nistorim. There's not one person that a nes nista doesn't have to every single day. But guess what? Who ain't a day? You don't know. You could be walking along the street and you hear about a car crash and you don't realize that. Guess what? 2 minutes before you were there. 2 minutes before you were there. Baisa just popped into my head. My son was in yeshiva, and the chavrusa, he wanted to leave early, and he said, just one more time. And he wanted to leave again, and he said, for some reason, he goes, let's go over it one more time. The bus stop that he would have been at, a terrorist came with a bulldozer and ran into it. Mamish on unbelievable. And he said, he said, you saved my life. So that happens all the time, but we don't realize it. It does, you don't realize it all the time. You don't realize it. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu performs nisim nistarim all the time. And v'hu ayin adeya. V'chein darshi Rabbeinu Zal. Ein balanes makira b'nislei. The balanes doesn't recognize his nes. Ukidei lahoyroi shanisim anistarim heimim ha'adam b'chol yoyim. L'kach biru lanu, they don't know. L'kach biru lanu chazal b'mayma echad. Who shamru hanichnis lomud. A person goes ahead. This is Gemara. Hanichlis lamed es gornoi. Oimer yihiratzim u'fenech Hashem Elokai. Elokei avasai. Shetishach bracha b'kriyazeh. You're going to go ahead and do it. So what does that mean? You weren't there yet. Since you weren't there, guys, you didn't see. So what bracha can you make? It should happen because since it's this stuff, you don't know what's in the silo. You wouldn't know it. So you make the bracha beforehand. And you say that put your bracha in there now. And then whatever's going to be is going to be because you don't know what's there in the first place. The imadad, and if you did measure it, v'akach birech, how's that foolish shove? You know why? She'eina bracha mitzuya loy b'dava amadav loy b'dava amaniv loy b'dava shakal. That's not the order we have. Ela b'dava hasami mina ayin. She'nemar yitzav Hashem yitches bracha b'asamecha b'dava hasami mina ayin. Kavanasei chachamim loymar b'zeh shehanisim anistorim heim b'chol yoyim v'yoyim. If it was chal on something, like nes nister, el mefursim, vein kolam zeichel nes mefursim. Not everyone's zeichel nes mefursim, and that's why you count the people. You count using what coins, because that keeps it hidden. You say this Rabbeinu Bachai in the beginning of Kisisa. So that would explain our Gemara beautifully. Why? And again, it's more elaborate than the Torah Chaim. More elaborate than the Torah Chaim, that it has nothing to do whatsoever with Ayin Hara, right? Even just later on I might, but it has everything to do with just allowing HaKadosh Baruch Hu to hide himself. Allow HaKadosh Baruch Hu to go hide himself. When you know something, then they say also there's loyalin when a person's sick. There's two drachim. One derech is to tell everyone about it, right? That they should daven. The other one is don't tell anybody about it. Because if one is so sick and you for that person to get better, you're relying on a nes nigla. But if you don't say anything, you give HaKadosh Baruch Hu a little leeway to go ahead and perform something that is unbelievable. I always go back to that Maisa with Rav Shmuel Bam Bam, right? I told you the story. Shmuel Bam Bam, I say it was worth it here again. Shmuel Bam Bam's driver, thank you. Shmuel was Bam Bam's driver. He was a young guy. Went to his wife was sick, didn't feel well, went to the doctor, took x-rays, took more tests, and they said there's nishkut. Nishkut. He said she was full of cancer. So he went to Rav Shmuel, told Rav Shmuel what happened. He said, Rav Shmuel, can you daven? Please daven, Rebbe. He's going to daven. I don't know what the time span was. He went back. The doctor looked at the scan and said something's wrong. It must be a mistake. There wasn't anything there for the testing. There wasn't anything. It was totally gone. So he went back to him, Rebbe, what did you do? Rebbe, what did you do? So he says, Abai and Rava, we've been friends for 80 years. I never asked you for anything. That mice, it shudders. I've been friends for 80 years. He goes, nice to show you. Nice to show you. You do the Gemaisa. Nice to, my friends for 80 years, I never asked you for anything. Hmm?
I mean, only someone like a shul could do
What?
that.
No, my Rebbe, there's a guy, there was a guy in yeshiva. He went for an operation and we got news it wasn't going so good. I wasn't there, but somebody, my Chabusa was there. He was on the operating table and his blood pressure was going down. They said Rashiv went to the Arin. He opened it up, put his head in, came out and said, Ich habe ihn weggeschleppt. He said, I got him back. He got better. Because Ich habe ihn weggeschleppt. Again, the Tzaddik's Geiser, Hashem's Mekayim. Anyway, but I think it's a Yisaidistic thing. Sometimes, keeping things quiet leaves the Kadosh Baruch Hu a lot of leeway to do what he does all the time without us knowing it, right? Without us knowing it. Okay, Nu Gemara. Amishmol. Kaspam ein lehem shmira ela bekarka. Ksafim, money ein lehem shmira ela bekarka. Yeah, the safe deposit box in that time was to stick it in the ground. Amarava umoide shmuel be'er Shabbos ben hashmashis. In other words, you are a shomer giving money to watch. It's Erev Shabbos. We're not going to matriach you to go ahead and stick it in the ground. No. The Isha lemoitze Shabbos shir limikverinu, and moitze Shabbos now comes and you had time to bury it and you didn't bury it, and something happens to it. Then mechayev yichayev. The tzumar rabbanan who, if the mafkid, if the one who entrusted you to watch it was a Talmud Chacham. Still, the shomer thinks that maybe he needs money for Havdalah to make it on wine, okay, and therefore you have a right to keep it out, guys. In other words, if you don't bury it, l'chayra you are not being shomer k'derech hashomer. What did Mishnah say? In order to be potter, you have to be shomer k'derech hashomer. Shmuel saying ksafim ein lem shmir ala bekarka. The only way to go ahead and do it is bekarka. That's the way to derech hashomrim. So there are waivers to that. Erev Shabbos and Metzia Shabbos for Talmud Chacham needs the money. So wouldn't be that you were chesaron of being shomer k'derech hashomrim.
You don't want to use it.
He's being shomer. No, he's not using it. The owner is going to come and need it. So he didn't bury it yet. The guy who gave him the money, Mendy.
Oh,
the mafkid, the one who gave him the money. The nifgad can't use it, but the mafkid. Good. For idna the shchichi geshushoi, now they have people who they tap into the ground and they're able to feel what a lack. Can't put it in the ground anymore. You got to put it in the attic, in the beams. But idna the shchichi prumoi, guys who check out the beams, between the bricks. Amaravu Shmuel b'kaisel. He's more about a kaisel, not necessary to insert it between the bricks, right? But idna the shchichi tepchoi, that people who go ahead and tap, they can tap the wall and find out where the beam is. Okay, I guess if you put it in those areas, then you can't hear it by tapping. Rav Yosef Rav Ashi Hasam Tanan. Regarding chametz, we learned chametz in Yani Diyama. Chametz shenafel of matpilis. You have chametz, and a wall fell down on top of it. And matpilis fell down on top of it. Harihum mivua is considered. You don't have to check it. It's beer. It's removed. It's removed from the world. However, it depends. Kol sheina kelev yachol lechapish achrov. If a kelev can't go ahead and get it, check. Again, then it's mivur. But it's not. No, it's. Tanakam is the stamamat poilus, and Rav Shimon says no. If a door can sniff it and get it, then not. V'tana kama chafishas a kelev. What's the amount of burial that has to be that the kelev can't get it? Is gimel tefachim. Hachamai. What about over here? So now you brought this in by chametz. We want to know how deep does it have to be the money to be considered that it's a meshumar. Mi ba'inin shlosh tefachim. I lie. Do you need 3 tefachim or not? So that's what Rav Acha Rav Yosef said to Rav Ashi. So Amalei Rav Ashi answered Rav Acha Rav Yosef, Hasam over there by Chametz Mishum Reicha in the Gimel Tefachim. The door can smell, so you need Gimel Tefachim to not only stop him from seeing, but also stop him from smelling and retrieving. But Hacha by money Mishum Iksuye Me'ena. You don't have to care about smell. So Labin and Gimel Tefachim, as long as it's out of sight, you don't need Gimel Tefachim. The comma, how much do you need? Amar Rafam, misikra says Rafam Tanam Sikra, a tefach. A tefach will do it. Okay, a lot of halach, a lot of actual cases that occurred. We're going to have till the end of the daf. A lot of actual cases that occurred until the end of the daf. Ahu gavra, the afkid zuze gabe chavre. The person who trusted his friend too much money. Oisvinu b'tzrifa d'orvini. Okay, if this sounds familiar, we had it earlier. This is, guys, is the mikasugya of tchilas lebipshia v'sleifa b'oinis. So he placed it in some type of wooden or straw hut. Even if it was stolen. Now, this is normally a place where people won't go ahead and steal. So le'inyan kesef, it's a good shmira. But putting it in a straw hut where it could burn down is pshia. So you're pesheya etzel burning, but you were shmira etzel geneva. So Amar Rabbi Yosef afagad le'inyan ganef netirusahi. Even though le'inyan ganef, it's considered a good netira. Le'inyan nura pshiusahi. Regarding being burnt, it's considered what? It's considered pshia. That would be what? It's pshia because it was made of a ravois and they burn easily. Now, L'chari, didn't you say that you need shmir in the ground? So what kind of good shmir is this? So look at Rashi. Rashi, yes, the kasha. Afagabdolin ganef netirusahi afilu b'lekfura, says Rashi. Even if you don't bury it, shein ganovim holchim sham lignaiv. Shein mamim matzisham. This guy's in the field. No one keeps their money in the field. So eitzel that it's a good shmira. Haste this when it says that that only bekarka must be in the house. You know, in the house, you have the safe that you have behind the picture. People have safes behind the picture, or where people have safes in the house. So the safe in the house was karka. In the field where people you don't expect to go, then this would be enough. Okay, but it's not. It's tchilas b'shia eitzel nura. Have it tchilas back in the Gemara. Tchilas b'shia v'sleifa b'oines chayev. Okay, this is the ikasugi, guys. The ikad the amri afagad v'linyan nura b'shia sahi. Even regarding it's being burnt, it's pshia, not a good shmira. Then you got him tirusahi with tchilas b'shia v'sleifa b'oines pata. The hilchas halacha is tchilas b'shia v'sleifa b'oines would be chayev. That would be chayev. Who gavra the afkid zuze gabe chavre. Amalei habli zuze. It's also we had this come out earlier. Where's my money? Amalei, I know you gave it to me, but lo yadana hecha esvino. I don't know where I put it. Asta kamed the Rava. Amalei said Rava kol lo yadana pshusahi your pesheya zil shlim even though you're a shemechina. Who gavra the afkid zuze gabe chavre. He entrusted his friend to watch something. Ashlaminu le'imei. He gave it over to the mother. He gave it over to his mother to watch. And what does the mother do? She put it in a box. The ignoif and it was stolen. Now, what would seem to be a pashut case, the Gemara will show you it's not so pashut. How can a judge this case? Right? If you tell the guy, go pay. Amar, in other words, I don't want my pikon to be in somebody else's hands, right? Guess what? It's my family. Shvua, right? You're believing in Shvua. The Shema you give it to is not believing in the Shvua. That was the sugi of Shemas l'Shema we had earlier. This is not a case of Shema l'Shema. Why? Because if you give it over to a person, it's on the das that he can give it to any family member. So therefore, you can't say the guy was Pesheya, I gave it to you. So whether you hold like a baya of Ein Ritzani Shape, you're going to be an Acher, or you hold like Rava that he's believe it's Shvur, not believe it's Shvur. Right? It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference. I might be mixing up by Rav. Those are two reasons. I'm not sure. Anyway, but Kol Mafkal Dasi Shtei Banu Mafkid. So therefore, you can't be Mechayev him. So the one you entrusted to, he's good. Neimelei le'imei still shlimi. Tell mommy, go ahead and pay. Why? Because you didn't put it in the ground. You didn't put it in the ground. Shall say, Layamali. He never told me the lavdi de ninu. He didn't tell me that's not his. That I should bury it. In other words, he didn't tell me that I'm a shomer or shemeres. I thought it was his money. So how can you mechayiv the mother? So it says the Gemara, Neimale Amayle Amrullah. So go back to the son and say, why didn't you tell the mother that in fact it was your money? So Amar Kol Shekain the Chamina Le Didininu famous Dara, right? Why? Better let her think it's my money. In other words, why didn't you tell the mother that it was somebody else's money? So he said, better I don't tell because the mother's going to watch my money, right? Before better than other people's money. So says Rava, this is not a Pashta Shaila. So Ela Marava, Mishtabe Ihu Dahana Zuzi, Ashlim Ime, swear that's money you gave to your mother. Umishtabe Ime, let the mother swear Dahana Zuzi Isfina Bekatlisa, she put it in the cart there. The ignorant was stolen. I guess he was a Shemachinam, obviously, Upater. And then you would be what? You'll be Pater. Interesting places, guys. Look at the top places. Kala mafgid adas ishta bonef hu mafgid. Omer Rabbeinu Tam. The hainu le'inyan sheni yachal loymar at mehimnisli b'shvua, and they're not. And that's the reason ultimately the Gemara that shemish must shema doesn't work. V'loy heich, and not her, or not the other person. In this case, a her. Aval and pashu, if they're pasheya, afilu ein lehem al shalem, even if they don't have to pay, yishalim hanifgad. He's going to have to pay. In other words, if the person you gave it to doesn't have what to pay, you're going to have to pay. Then loikain kol masha hufked etzel balabayis tova ishta b'toichal b'tipater. Guys, if this guy once he gives it over to somebody else is good, so he gives it to his wife eats it, and he goes, he's off the hook. No, he's going to be chayiv for that. Okay. That's why his mother swore the hanu zuzay yasmina b'katalisa that she put in the box. Shlei Pasha, that she wasn't Pasheya. Good. So then, in other words, just automatically giving it over doesn't get you off the hook. You have to make sure that the second person you gave it over to is on the up and up. Back in the Gemara. Another case. Who apitrapa? There was this apitropis. It was a power of attorney taking care of Yisraelim. The Savan who really asked me. He went ahead. He figured he's giving it a good investment, and he bought a shar. He bought a shar for Yisraelim. Lebakra, and he gave it over to a herder. Again, like a roya, but bakra is the person who takes care of cattle. So Nebuch, this shar did not have teeth. The shar did not have teeth. Lemechel and to eat. And what happened? Mice. The shar died. So Amar Rami Bar Chama, Heichi Nedainu Daina Lahaidina. Now we have to go through the various possibilities over here. Name Alei Laputrapa, tell the apotropis, Zil Shlim, go pay. What is he going to say? Amar Anolik Lebakra, must we say? I gave it over to a guy who could watch it. I gave it over to a guy who could watch it. Name Alei Lebakra Zil Shlim. Amar Anot Bahade Tureyuk Misa and Uchla Shadilei. I treated it no different than any other ones. I gave it to my flock, my herd. And I went ahead and I threw food in front of it. How am I supposed to know what? Right? Okay. One second, I think I read it wrong. Stop. Michti. The Bakr is the Shemasacha of the assignment. He should have checked it out. He should have checked it out. In other words, he should have he was mechuyev to watch. He's a shemasacha. He was mechuyev to watch, and he should have to pay the assignment. That's what the Gemara's taina is. Whatever his taina is, he should go ahead since he's a shemasacha. He was makabel schar, guys. He was makabel schar. He's taking money to watch it, and therefore he should have gone ahead and watched the shmira ma'ul, I guess, and to see if the shar is eating or not. Says Gemara, you're right. In other words, so what was Rami Bar Chama's big shaila? Heichi nedunya daina lahachi means this is the great Rami Bar Chama says this is a shvera shaila. Read the Gemara. What's a shvera shaila? You gave it over to a shemasacha. You paid him to watch it. So watch it. Make sure it eats. Take care of it. So what was the shvera shaila? So again, something else. Says the Gemara, if there was a loss to the assignment, then the Shemasacha would have made it up. The Hachamayaskinon, the Lekap say to the Asme. The assignment didn't take a loss. Why? The Ashkachu Lamari the Torah, they found the seller of the ox, the one who sold them a lemon, sold them a faulty ox, right? The Shakal Yasme Zuzamene, And what? He paid him back. And he paid him back. It was a mekach tois, and he paid him back. So here's the kasha. So if they got their money back, so what's the court case over here? Who is claiming from who? Who's claiming from who? Elaman Katayan. Since there's no loss to the assignment, who is claiming the value of the sacks? Says the Gemara, Murray the Astra Katayan. It's the one who sold it. Now, guys, l'chaira, what time does he have? He sold him a lemon. He's a used car salesman. He sold him an ox that didn't have any teeth. So what kind of can he have that you, the bucker, killed the ox? What kind of time is that? L'chaira, he knew. Pashtas, he knew he had a faulty ox and he sold it. So Fred the Gemara Kasha, Iboyle la'oidun. They should have told him that this ox is not eating. Says the Gemara, Man moidion le. What do you mean you're going to go ahead and tell him that the ox is not eating, that the ox didn't have teeth? He knows, he sold it to them. The mekach tois have. Obviously, he knew it was wrong because he gave the money back to the assignment. He knew the deal wasn't a good deal. Says the Gemara, it's speaking b'safsira. Okay, we're not speaking about a guy who raised this ox, who it's been his rishus. He knows the ox from hoof to mouth. Right, hoof, mouth disease, right? He mamish knows it, every single tooth in the mouth. We're not speaking about that. We're speaking about a cattle dealer. He never even saw the ox. He said he delivered, on a contract, one to the other. He was a safsira. He buys from here, and sells it over there. So now his time is the following. I'm a honest businessman. I sold you a faulty. You sign him, I sold you a faulty ox, I'm giving you back the money. Now I'm going ahead to collect from the what? The bakra. After all, you should have told me that this ox is not eating anything. You should have told me the ox is not eating anything. And I couldn't have known that. Why? Because I never really saw this ox. I just went ahead and I saw him for 5 minutes. But I didn't check his mouth. Says the Gemara, have a problem. So now that he's coming to get from the bakra, he wants to go ahead and he wants to collect. Hilkach, the din is, Mishtabi ihu dloy yada. The safsira swears he didn't know. Umishalim bakra demesh basa bizoil. And he pays basa bizoil. Rashi says, look Rashi over here, basically 2/3. Guys, machlokes Rashi and Tosfos over here. We had remember Mashinenis, we said you don't pay the full price. Over here, Rashi's saying that basically that they made a peshara. It's not peshara here was to pay 2/3, but he held him accountable. Last case. Ahu gavra the afit kishusa gabe chave. A guy entrusted his friends to watch kishusa. Kishusa in English we teach hops. And to make beer, guys, you need something called hops, right? And so he entrusted his friend to watch his hops. He had in close proximity to the pile of hops of his friend that he's watching. He had his own hops. So Amalei, the person who's entrusted to watch it, said L'Sarsiye, the person who's in charge of his house, may hi Rami, take the hops from my pile, right? Azul Rami, Me'idach. And he went ahead and he took what from the one he was entrusted to watch. So in other words, basically he took something he's not supposed to take. So Amar of Amram, again, you would think on the surface, guys, this is a Pasha Shaila, right? You would think on the surface, the Pasha Shaila. Guess what? Lo Pashut Ma'od. So right, he went ahead and he said, how are you going to judge? So what's the problem? Name the day to the Shaim Ezil Shlim. Amar, he can say, I know Amri Lahai, I told the guy who's in charge of things, may hi Rami, to go ahead and take from my hops. Name Lisar say to take the guy who was in charge of the house, Zil Shlim. Amar, loy omali me high romi me loy termi. In other words, I sued to a pile state. He told me to take. He didn't tell me take dafka from this and not from this. We eat now. So if you eat the shaw shir lasuyale, and if it waited a time to bring it, it seems fellas that the owner's hops were in closer proximity, and the ones he was entrusted to watch was in a farther proximity. So if the owner would realize that it's taking longer, he would realize that 1 second, the guy went to the wrong place because he went longer, right? Be the shashir So Goli Adaiti Denichale. Obviously, it should have taken shorter and it's taking longer, it must be that he realizes that the guy is going to the wrong set of hops. He's going to the hops that he was entrusted to watch. Says the Gemara, it's speaking with the Loisha, speaking within normal time. So therefore, saif at the end of the day, my psi the ikka, welcome shile. In other words, what happened over here, guys? What happened over here? You have two piles. So let's say I go to the wrong pile and I use $100 worth of hops. So what do? Give the guy $100 worth of hops. What you have two piles over here. So what's the big deal over here? What's the big deal over here? What's the shaila? Why is it so difficult? Says the Gemara. So Amar Rav Sama Brei the Rava. It's speaking with where the have a shikra chala. Since he used the wrong one, became vinegary, and therefore what he wasn't mishtar. He didn't have any gain. He didn't have any gain over here. Therefore, why he's parted from paying. Fred the Gemara, let the shomer pay the mafkid. Why? Because he's mishtar shalei. Answer the Gemara, he wasn't mishtar shalei. He didn't gain anything. Why didn't he gain anything? Because the hops he had didn't do the job. Rav Ashi Amar Bikisi. It's speaking Bikisi. Rashi says, what's Kisi? It says it's full of kaitzim, and therefore it wasn't good at all. So the bottom line is, you have a kasha mishtar shilei, like he's having kanal, let him pay back. He didn't have anah, either because it turned vinegary or because it was lousy hops in the first place. The bottom line, he didn't have anah. The Gemara doesn't say what exactly. They didn't pass in the shaila. They didn't pass in the shaila. So an interesting shaila over here. And tomorrow, Bez Hashem, will begin Daf Mem Gimel. But again, it'll be on Zoom only because we have the big party.